Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods this morning. I know I'm still feeling under the weather. The game last night certainly didn't make me feel any better. But before we get in too deep, I know everybody wants their pound of flesh. Everybody is pissed off. They're mad. They're angry. They literally want the Cowboys head on a platter. And we're panicking. I get it. I get it 100%. Last night was ugly. Some of the same problems that we had last year are still there at the surface. 17 freaking penalties. Tyler Smith at left guard, 2. I will say a bright spot about him, though, is he didn't get kicked around like a rag doll and have the penalties. At least he doesn't have both, okay? Connor Williams will get kicked around like a rag doll and have the holding penalties. So there's that. I'm still trying to understand, though, why he is with the second group. This worries me a little bit, but you know what? I hate to say this, but we're going to have to trust the process. Mike McCarthy on the penalties. The penalties are clearly way too much. I think we'll recognize that this isn't regular season. This is preseason, and I don't think this has anything to do with last year. Okay. I'm also not going to try and get too bent out of shape about a preseason game, the very first preseason game, where a lot of the guys that will play will never sniff the field. Dak Prescott will be a difference maker. Zeke Elliott will be a difference maker. Tony Pollard will be a difference maker. Diggs will be a difference maker. Micah Parsons will be a difference maker. This was not our front line. The thing to worry about on this is a lot of these guys, because the Cowboys decided to get rid of Lyle Collins, Connor Williams, Cedric Wilson, and Amari Cooper, that young people are going to have to step up into these roles. There's plenty of time for this stuff to turn around. I'm not going to go crazy and go ballistic on here because there were some signs of life. As bad as it was with all the penalties, and it's hard, believe me, it's hard to have a running game going when you keep having, illegal procedure, false start, holding. When you go from first and having a good run and then turning around and now it's 1st and 20, you become more one-dimensional. Cooper Rush was bad last night, and he did not have enough time to throw. Ben DiNucci came out there with the sidearm Sally throws and actually got people hyped up a little bit. But things I want to take away from this is, one, after Jake Ferguson ending up being using the bands the whole time I was out in Oxnard, was actually able to play and was solid. He actually played pretty well, which is good and will bode well for us when the season comes. We need that guy to step up. We definitely need Tyler Smith to step up because our offensive line is in shambles. We have a lot to worry about our backups as far as Tyron Smith goes and may need to look at signing some players. Neville Gallimore, my guy who, definitely likes to smack him when the pads go on, was really good at the point of attack. He literally was able to work his way upfield. You see the strength, you see the power, you see the speed of him. He ended up playing really, really well. And, there's that. Dante Fowler got a penalty. Mike McCarthy benched him, but you could actually see Dante Fowler was moving well. You saw Sam Williams moving pretty well. And they just need to get some time together. But penalties are going to be the bugaboo for this team. If we do not solve the penalty issue, and this is where it worries me about our offensive line coach, I don't know that he is the best coach for the position. And this is where I worry about the depth behind Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, who, forgive me, I'm sorry, I got this cold. Tyron Smith, who re-aggravated his ankle from last year, should be okay, is putting up the warning signs of a guy who eventually will probably have to have some time off. And you must prepare for this. Now, when I got up this morning, my buddy Wade, shout out to Wade, Wade sent me this rant on Jerry Jones from 2015. The names have changed, and we don't have the locker room issues as much as we did back then. But I've kind of equated what the Cowboys are doing. This is the thing I wonder, okay? If you're the Denver Broncos and you are training in Denver, you're sleeping in your own bed, you get up, you go to work, you work out at your facilities, right? You know, you got world-class facilities and things there, and you're used to playing in your weather, right? You know, you've got Denver mile-high air, and you got the temperatures that it is, right? You're able to focus on that football. You're not traveling to, you know, other places to go work out. And I think about this. How is the focus on the Cowboys where we go to Oxnard, okay? It's, you know, like 100 degrees in Dallas, and I understand when we get out of Dallas and being able to practice outside, to Oxnard where it's 72 degrees at the peak. Perfect conditions. Great scenery. Oh, it's nice in Oxnard. But then you got Denver out there in the mile-high air, the higher temperatures. You look at a team like Washington that's out there, you know, where the heat and humidity is. You look at a Miami that's in the sauna that is Miami and practicing outdoors. Are those guys better conditioned? And you now have your players in hotel for 2 weeks. Now you go from that hotel with perfect conditions to practice in, you now go on to Denver for a practice or two in a preseason game. So you're sleeping for a couple days in another location, traveling roadshow. Now I'm assuming they're going to go back to Dallas and have a practice or two at the Star before going to Los Angeles. In which case you'll be in a hotel away from your facilities again, practicing with the Chargers and then preseason game, and then back to Dallas. The Cowboys will be the most traveled team in preseason. Is this advantageous for building the roster, for getting cohesiveness, that you literally are barnstorming city to city? It's great for spreading the Dallas Cowboys brand. You're all over the place. You go to Denver and people are there 5 hours ahead of practice wanting to see the Cowboys. You see the thousands of people that would come and be turned away at practice on Saturdays. You know that the Chargers, and when they go to L.A., they'll be seen. And then, of course, you have two more practices, the 23rd and the 24th, at the Star. This is great if you are Joe the fan. But is this what you need for building the team? So I want to play this rant. Shout out to my man for sharing this morning. Again, this was 2015 where we were going through an abysmal season. And I'm not in any way going to say that's the Dallas Cowboys that we're going to be in the regular season, because I want you to understand preseason is not one of the Dallas Cowboys things. I watched them, you know, after getting an RV and going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame to see Dallas Cowboys galore inducted, watching a game that literally made me want to throw up my Italian sub. Cowboys only scored 3 points against the Steelers at the Hall of Fame game. They followed that up with a loss to the Cardinals, 16-19, with a loss to the Texans, 20-14, and we know how abysmal the Texans were. And they followed that up with a final loss to the Jaguars, 34-14. So as we looked at that, it wasn't like the Cowboys actually had a good preseason last year. 0-4, and did they score 40 points in the whole preseason? Probably not. So this is what they do. They're trying to get some work in, trying to keep people from getting hurt. And they did get some work in, and they didn't get people hurt. But let's listen to this rant and see how relative it is to today.
You see this team and what they've been able to roll out, and you expect to get a win.
I want to tell you,
would have to.
Donovan and I are in the process, I really mean this, a process of forming a relationship, working every day about who takes this segment, or you've got this opinion, or I've got that opinion. Every day I'll come in and say, Donovan and Michael said, maybe we want to go this direction. Yeah, that's a good direction. What I appreciate about Donovan is he's given me at times 3 or 4 moments to still go off. And I wish to go off on this football team.
All right, go off, Norm.
If you enjoy being laughed at, Jerry, then revel in it. Climb right into the spotlight and revel in it. Your team is now the most ridiculous team in the National Football League. The pregame shows, the postgame shows, all over network TV, all the commentators, they're laughing at you. They're watching you unravel in public. It's like a circus. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and watch the Dallas Cowboys unravel right before your eyes. Look at them in the locker room, fighting and screaming. Look at them on social media. Look how they look like they don't give a damn on the field. Look at a coach that you have castrated. Does Jason Garrett have any control of personnel? Absolutely not. If he had control of personnel, some of the people that started the year on this team wouldn't be here. Does he have any control of discipline? Oh, please. Please. That's funnier than a Seinfeld routine. Does he have control of a lineup? I suggest he doesn't even have control of a lineup. Who announced McFadden was going to be the starting running back? Who announced Castle was going to replace Whedon? And let me ask you something. If the coaching staff had its way, would Rolando McClain have been back here? And if he were back here, would he have been benched by now for some of his play in the last few weeks? Does any other coach in the league have a situation where he's been so neutered? He does not control discipline. He has no final word. Hardy's late for meetings, virtually skips a meeting. Any discipline? I don't know. Coach Jones, what do you think?
Ooh.
You run the team. You run the lineup. You run the roster. You run the discipline. Hey, should Garrett be yelled at? Yeah, he should. Yeah. But on the other hand, does he have charge of the locker room? If he goes in the locker room and puts his foot down, do 14 people giggle? Or do they sit there tweeting during his talk? Let me tell you something. If you beg to look ridiculous, Jerry, you got it. You got it. When Des Bryant went off on Rich Dalrymple, he should have been yanked into your office and said, this happens again, and I'm fining you a game check. When Hardy misses meetings, he should have been yanked into your office and say, listen, young man, somewhere along the line, you got to stop this. You have been benched this week. You do not play against Tampa. I don't give a damn who we play. I don't care if we have to run out Ryan Russell or Jack Crawford or some yahoo that I fish out of the stands 10 minutes to game time. At some point, doesn't your soul hurt, Jerry? Doesn't it hurt to keep giving guys like Josh Brent and Joseph Randall and Greg Hardy and ad nauseum chances to play again, and they laugh at you, they take your money, and they shoot you a freaking finger every week? Where the hell is your soul, Jerry? Where the hell is it? Do you not care that everybody laughs like crazy at your football team? It's one thing to lose. It's another thing to lose when you've also sacrificed your damn soul. This locker room has no one in charge of it because the man who's supposedly in charge of it has no right to discipline. Get your butt down in locker room, Jerry, and you discipline. You go locker to locker and tell Cole Beasley, shove that phone as far up as it goes, baby. You're off Twitter. And Des, you do that again, and we are going to have a serious monetary talk, pal. And I don't care if I have to discipline you or Hardy or name it. Pick anybody else who steps out of line. I can lose without you guys. I can lose without you. And damn, yesterday we did lose without Greg Hardy. Somebody wore his shirt, and that's all yesterday. Come on. Come on. We've gone through losing seasons before, but this is an embarrassment. The whole league looks at you, and they're laughing at you. This isn't a 7-game losing streak. This is a surrender of your freaking soul. Thank you, Donovan.
Wow. Wow. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel. And you think about some of those things that are still relevant today, because you have to wonder, how much control does Mike McCarthy have on this roster and of these guys? Because they have been basically cut off at the knees by Jerry Jones and what Jerry Jones wants to do. I will say that it seems like Dan Quinn is not castrated like Mike McCarthy is and hamstrung by the decisions that Jerry Jones loves to tinker with the offense and things. Excuse me. But you have to wonder how much Jerry Jones is to blame for a lot of the Cowboys' woes. Take it easy now. Again, this is just preseason. You know, we've got the Eagles thinking that they're punching their ticket for the Super Bowl, even though they ended up losing their game as well. I'm not going to say that the Eagles are, loser or worse team than the Jets, but I'm not going to say that they are a better team than, say, the Rams. It's only preseason, and none of our starters played, and we have a long way to go before this soup is cooked. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We'll be doing our 5 o'clock Zoom call, which had turned from being a bitching session early part of the offseason to hope, which I'm assuming will probably turn into a bitch session this afternoon. I just got to kind of have that feeling that we have some Cowboy fans that will definitely be chiming in this afternoon. So see you guys at 5 o'clock, and you know how we roll.
Our coach here does all